Hey everybody, this is Tom again in Western North Carolina, and I'm continuing on with this how to make a shaving horse video. And this video is going to be about continuing on with your rails. You remember the other day you cut your rails out, you've got two rails. Now one of the first things I do when I get the rails cut out, well, I've sanded these. I've run these through the drum sander, and I recommend that you sand yours too somehow on the big flat sides, both sides. But anyways, I put the two together like this, and I sight down here, and if there is any bows in those pieces, I always put the bows in. And that makes more space in the middle. That's how I do it. Anyways, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two together. I'm going to screw them together so that when I do all the next steps, they are going to be together. And what I do is I lay them down on my bench and I try to line them up right here, right at the very end here, and right at the end here. And then I also, this point right here, where these two meet up, I kind of want them in line end to end. I don't want them to be way out of line. They might not be perfectly in line up and down like this, but that doesn't matter to me right now. I want them in line end to end. So I'm looking at that point right there, and I'm looking right here at this end. This might be in the way, but right there at the end and right here at the end, I'll get that one lined up. Right there's in line, right there's in line, and right there's lined up. So I'm going to take a clamp, put it right on there. Take another clamp, put it on here someplace. Now I'm going to measure to put in my screws. Where I measure to, right from the end here, I measure 9 3/8, 9 3/8. And then I come over here like this and try to get that about halfway up and down. So this should be somewhere in the vicinity of 5 1/2. So that puts that somewhere around 2 3/4. Like that, I make a mark there. Then this ruler here happens to be 1 inch wide. I'm going to come down here to this far end, and I'm going to go 2 1/2 inches in from the end at the top side here, and the width of this ruler, 2 1/2 that way, 1 inch that way. Made a mark there. I'm going to take my little drill here. Can't remember what size this is. I think it's 5/32. But anyways, there's a drill. And I'm going to drill these, and I'm going to try not to drill way deep into the second board. And no, it's not important that those holes be exactly in a certain spot, but close to a spot. Then I take a countersink bit, run that in there a little bit. Now I know that these screws have a little thing to dig their own countersink in them, but usually it's kind of tore up. So anyways, these are 2 1/2 inches. I think most people would call these a deck screw, but you can use any kind of screw, just as long as you can get it back out. But I'm going to screw that together. Okay, I'm done with those clamps, I think, for this thing. Okay, you can see there I've got a screw right there. and a screw right there. And these things are together now. I'm dealing with them together. Okay, before I leave this operation, I'm going to flip this around, and on the back, on the other side, I'm going to use this same 1-inch wide ruler, and I'm going to measure from this corner here. I'm going to measure in three and a half that way, 1 inch that way. I'm going to drill that, go ahead and drill that hole. And countersink it. That's a hole that's going to be used later when we go to put this thing together. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do to this piece here is, and I'm not going to show you this again, but I would take this over to my joiner and I would run this long side right down this bottom side here. I would run that through the joiner and try to get it flat and evened up with each other. It's not super important that they be even with each other on the bottom, because that has no bearing later when you put the shaving horse together. But for me, after I run this on the joiner, I do in fact want this bottom side to be flat. If you don't have a joiner, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and you're going to end up sanding this whole side with your belt sander or some other means of smoothing it up. But after I run this through the joiner, I'm going to take it, I'm going to change pieces here. I'm going to pick up this piece right here. I hope this isn't in the way too much. I'll put this out of the way. Maybe these are in the way too, I don't know. Anyways, after I run this side here through the joiner,